Charles Dickens' classic novel, A Christmas Carol, tells the story of Ebenezer Scrooge. At the start of the story, Scrooge is almost a comedy villain. Dickens describes him in this way. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shrivelled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head, and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come to see me?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired the way to such and such a place of Scrooge. But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked. To edge his way along the crowded paths of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance, was what the knowing ones called nuts to Scrooge. Scrooge is described as a covetous old sinner, and we usually imagine him in his office counting out his money. But it's not just the fact that he's mean with money that makes him a sinner, or even that he refuses to help the poor. Scrooge has entirely cut himself off from the people around him. He ignores his nephew Fred, his only family. He doesn't want friends. He is completely closed in on himself. Sin is an old-fashioned religious word that tends to make us think of robbers and murderers rather than respectable people like Scrooge, or perhaps like ourselves. But a more accurate way of thinking about sin is being totally closed in on yourself, not caring about others, about the world around you, or about God. Scrooge needs to learn to look outward, to look beyond himself. Check out our future posts, or pick up a copy of A Christmas Carol to find out what happens.